Sometimes you think you know what's going to happen, and then you change your mind. Those of you in the sanctuary, I'm sure, are following your order of service studiously and noticing that I have swapped the order of a couple of things. And that is because the response that I got from my request to share your sacred spaces and places was so beautiful. I felt like the sermon should lead into that rather than the other way around. Last week, I said that we were a faith that prefers a good question to a simple answer. And I think that's true. The way we talk about our faith, our beliefs, our own spiritual life, very often we use a journeying metaphor, a questing metaphor. I think of the Joseph Campbell quote, which you'll find in the back of our hymnal if you look, who says, "We have not even to risk the adventure alone, for the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a God. Where we had thought to travel outward, we will come to the center of our own existence. Where we had thought to be alone, we shall be with all the world." And this idea of the hero path, being the hero of our own stories, being on our own spiritual adventures, is something that we all hold pretty dear. And it's also not the whole story. We think about our spirituality as curious. We call ourselves seekers. We claim for ourselves the mantle of the pilgrim, the restless spirit, climbing a mountain, drinking from many wells from the same river. The whole spiritual landscape laid out for us to explore and encounter. We are never done. We are never finished. We are doing the next right thing over and over, one day at a time, growing and stretching and blossoming and unfolding and going. As our hymnal says, to question truly is an answer. Nearly a century ago, the Reverend Louis Fisher, who is the dean of the Universalist Seminary at St. Lawrence University, memorably described religious liberalism's flexibility. Reverend Fisher says, "Universalists are often asked to tell where they stand. The only true answer to give to this question is that we do not stand at all. We move." And I love this. I can dig that. We could say the same thing for Unitarian Universalism today, nearly a century later, and probably even more so. Our commitment to religious freedom, to openness to new ideas, our insistence that religion should live in the present moment and not in the past, our healthy theological pluralism, all of these, the very things that make us liberal, mean that our collective religious identity will inevitably be difficult to pin down at any particular moment in our history. And most of us are difficult to pin down as well. It's one of the things I like. Unitarian Universalists, on the whole, reject certainty. We are never done. We are always a work in progress. But sacred spaces and sacred places are not about moving. They are not about going, questing, searching. They are about being, about finding. They are not about uncertainty. They are about resting in a truth, somewhere specific, a place set apart, either in the physical world or that we have created as a metaphor, a place set apart that evokes in you a sense of stillness, of reverence, of connection, of ecstasy, of awe. A place that evokes the sacred. We have a faith in which not knowing and knowing that we do not know are virtues. Imagination and curiosity and wonder are spiritual tools. Questing, adventuring, journeying, exploring are our most familiar paradigms. I don't know about you, but that is a large part of why I became a Unitarian Universalist. Even and especially for us seekers and questioners, making sacred spaces and places in our lives is a chance to experience a spirituality of finding rather than a spirituality of seeking, of searching, of striving, of always being on the track, even if none of us know the destination. Sacred spaces and places are not destinations, they are not end points. They are rest stops, places of respite and sustenance. And they offer a type of certainty that we can trust. We know what we will find there. Just as surely as we know that that answer is different for every person. For me, sacred spaces offer wholeness, oneness, healing, connection. When you think of your sacred spaces, what are the words that come to you? I invite you to say them out loud if you're here in the sanctuary, or to type them on chat, and I will read them for you if you are one of our Zoomers. What do sacred spaces evoke for you? Safety, peace, calm, beauty, awe. Knowing, humility, breaking free, wonder, the holy, love. Sacred spaces are a known quantity. And what a gift that is to a person whose heart is always a little restless, who is always a bit unsatisfied with things as they are and curious about what may be. What a gift it is to rest for a person who is always hungry for something more. What a gift to be satisfied, to be satiated, to find enough in a single moment, in a single present place, and to be able to bring that sense with us so that we know it when we find it in the rest of our lives. In this sanctuary, in this sacred space, whether you are here in the flesh or connected to this moment through the magic and miracle of technology, we experience together a moment set apart, a time out of time, where we focus on the here and now, and we focus on each other. Some of you are here in the sanctuary today, and some of you are sitting at home or in cafes or in your car. Some are sitting in an intentionally chosen spot, chalice and pot of tea at hand, having had the time and space to declare a sacred area and dedicate yourself to be fully present in this moment. And some of you are sitting in a messy bedroom that needs to be cleaned, or folding laundry while you listen, or driving to a sports practice, or texting your mom, or coloring with your kids. But you have also taken the time to bring this experience into your life, to connect to this group of people and reaffirm and remind yourself of our shared connection. And that is sacred space too. In a few minutes, we will get a glimpse of a constellation of Northwood's members and friends, sacred spaces and places. As you probably, many of you know, if you know me at all, when I think of the sacred, I think of the universe and its magnificent, tremendous movements over time. A few weeks ago, we talked about how the light we see from the stars is a form of time travel, because of how fast light moves, it is still not fast enough to get here very quickly from the far distant stars. Another kind of journey, one that reminds us that time and space transcend themselves every time we look at the sun, every time we look at the moon, every time we look at the stars. This speaks to our love of the spiritual journey. But light is not just a beam. It is also a particle, right? That's still true, right? Good. I didn't look it up. I had a moment of panic. And I think that makes it an even more perfect metaphor for our spiritual experience, because as light is both a moving beam and a particle, so too is the life of the Spirit, both a journey and a resting place. Thank you for sharing your places of rest with us.